Assalamualaikum and a very good day I wish to all of you. Welcome to our forum for today. As we all know, flood is a current big issue which enable you to think about the topics that we had highlighted, and we are trying to solve the issues together by sharing beneficial and interesting idea and talk, which will be delivered by our guests. Today, we would like to highlight a topic that is quite interesting to be discussed on flood risk mitigation in Kelantan. I am sure that every one of us has our own opinion and thought with this topic. Before we proceed to our forum, I would like to introduce our panelists for today. Our first panelist is Wan Fazatu Aisyah binti Wan Asmi. How are you today? Next, we have Nur Shamimi binti Talib. Also, we have Nur Haznani binti Hamzah, and the last one is Nur Atira binti Zahirul Anwar. Before we start our forum in detail, let me explain about our topic today. Floods are the most common type of natural disaster that happens when an excess of water submerged normally dry land. Floods are frequently brought on by continuous heavy downpours, rapid snowmelt, or tropical storm. So flood can cause problems across a large area, such as killing people, damaging property, and destroying critical public health facilities. According to the WHO, more than 2 billion people worldwide were impacted by flood between 1998 to 2017. There are three common flood types. The first one is rapid and heavy rains that rise water level quickly and can overwhelm rivers, streams, or roadways is what causes flash flood. The second one is when a river is overfilled due to continuous rain or snow melt, river flood happen. And the last one is storm surge brought on by tropical storm or tsunamis are what create coastal flooding. So in the last 10 years, flood, drought, tropical cyclones, heat wave, and several storms has been responsible for between 80 to 90% of all known disasters caused by natural hazard. Floods are becoming more frequent and more intense, and climate change is predicted to result in an increase in both extreme precipitation frequency and intensity. So going back to our topic, flood risk mitigation in Kelantan, without wasting time, let's hear a bit from our first panelist, Wan Farzatu Aisyah, about the history of flood in Kelantan.
Thank you, Miss Moderator. As we all know, floods are considered as an annual natural disaster in Kelantan. Floods in Kelantan are mainly caused by a heavy rainfall brought by the northeast monsoon every year, starting from November until March, as Kelantan faces a northeast monsoon. The northeast monsoon then Thank you, Miss Moderator. As we all know, floods in Thank you, Miss Moderator. As we all know, floods in Thank you, Miss Moderator. As we all know, floods are considered as an annual natural disaster in Kelantan. Floods in Kelantan are mainly caused by a heavy rainfall brought by the northeast. Thank you, Miss Moderator. As we all know, floods are considered as an annual natural disaster in Kelantan. Floods in Kelantan are mainly caused by a heavy rainfall brought by the northeast monsoon every year, starting from November until March, as Kelantan faces northeast monsoon. The northeast monsoon then brings the heavy rainfall to the east coast state of Peninsular Malaysia and western Sarawak, whereas the southwest monsoon normally signifies relatively as a drier weather. Kelantan also affects its neighboring states, especially Terengganu and Pahang. Previous floods, including the year of 1927 and 1967, were considered significant in Kelantan's history. The year 1967 flood had a major impact on the Kelantan population. It has been estimated that 70% of the villagers in Kelantan, or nearly half of the state's population, were affected. Furthermore, the flood that hit Kelantan in December 2014 was unprecedented and the worst flooding disaster ever happened. More than a week of non-stop rains caused the river to exceed the danger level and caused the disaster. The massive water volume poured into the tributaries of Galas River and Lebe River as the flow rose as a result of severe and prolonged rain. Large portions of Kelantan people were submerged during the flood, resulting in 151,072 residents having to relocate on December 29, 2014, and 10 fatalities were recorded, according to Ibanjir in 2014. Hundreds of flood victims in Kuala Krai who were living in the low floodplains rushed to the nearby mountains and were trapped there for several days. People in Kelantan had to bear with this event every year, where they need to be evacuated and move their private belongings to a safer place. That's all from me. I will pass to the moderator.
Thank you, Professor Aisha. From your sharing, we can say that flooding in Kelantan is not a new phenomenon. So as we all know, Malaysia is used to seeing regular floods during the monsoon seasons, but there is still plenty that can be done to better prepare for catastrophic flooding. It is essential to have a better awareness of local flood a condition in order to be more prepared for a changing environment. So addressing information gaps about flooding and other climate-related danger is also required, particularly at the local level. So Nurul Shamimi, what is the advice on mitigation aspect of flood in Kelantan state government?
Thank you for the question, Norizati. In my opinion, Kelantan state government can use the warning given by the Department of Irrigations and Drainage with educating or giving a warning to the residents about the river's dangerous levels if heavy rains continue. The residents in several areas who had never experienced flooding reported that the drainage system was poorly constructed and managed, which was believed to be one of the reasons for flash floods in those areas. To prevent future flash floods, all parties, especially state government, need to handle the drainage problems in Kelantan seriously. However, if the drainage system is properly managed, especially in highly populated areas, this flooding risk could be reduced. Aside from that, Kelantan state government can set up a flood release facility and prepare a variety of resources and tools, including trucks, vans, ambulance, and landing areas for helicopters and four-wheel drive vehicles. The operating plan aims to prevent any of the issues that crop up during the severe flooding in December from happening again.
Thank you, Nurisha Mimi. That was a great point to be said. In addition to this discussion, we can use the measurement of flood risk. Flood hazard maps for Sungai Kelantan was generated based on the degree of flood hazard. The flood hazard maps shows the flood extent, the flood depths, and the POI. So as we can see from the table shown on the screen right now, you can see the degree of hazard together with the flood depths and description. For example, a low degree with less than 0.5 meters will be categorized as caution, while a very high degree with more than 2.5 meters will be dangerous to all. So what can you say, Nur Hasnani, based on our topic today? What is the risk identification that Kelantan state government can use and do?
Alhamdulillah, I am good. Risk identification refers to a set of methods for identifying, describing, and categorizing any potential risk to asset and business operation that could have a negative effect on performance, quality, damage, loss, or reputation. Risk identification is the process of identifying and evaluating risks to a company, its operation, and its employees. The process of identifying and managing risk consists of 5 steps. This process involves risk identification, analysis, evaluation, and monitoring, as well as treatment and monitoring. These are various methods to recognize risk. However, some of the more common ones includes orientation, risk analysis questionnaire, exposure checklist, insurance policy checklist, flowchart, financial statement, inspection, interviews, and combination approach. As alternative, Kelantan state government can use is a combination approach in order to solve the floods problems. Combination approach is where all the tools listed are brought together to solve the problem. First, they can do a risk analysis questionnaire where they make a surveys towards the residents that have been affected in order to discover the risk through a series of detailed and related questions about the flood that happened. Next, exposure checklist is where the Kelantan state government makes a list of common exposure around the place where the flood happened that can be efficiently utilized in combination with other methods to lessen the likelihood of skipping a significant exposure. The third risk identification tool Kelantan state government can use is insurance policy checklist because it is a list of the various risks that insurance can cover. Other than that, the Kelantan state government can use flowcharts since they are necessary component of process, analysis and operation characterization. Graph illustrate the stage that must be followed in a process and demonstrate how it operates in sequence. This analysis involves a list of potential negative events that might occur, together with their potential causes and effects. Inspection is also one of the risk identification tools that state government can use in order to carry out an investigation about the flood that happened in Kelantan in the past 10 years. When it comes to identifying hazard, this tool is important and extremely useful. As a result of the visit to the house and direct interaction with the flood-affected resident, the risks are more fairly identified. Last but not least, the risk identification can be used through interviews, since some information is only present in the minds of the resident and is not documented in any records. Both internal and external parties may participate.
Thank you, Nur Haznani. Before we move to our last panel, I would like to add some information. In Kelantan State, an extreme flooding event with catastrophic consequences occurs in December 2014. So most of the population is directly affected by this disaster, which caused a damage to their homes, infrastructure, and the public service networks. The economic losses from the December 2014 flooding was estimated to be around $200 million. So we move to our last panel, Nur Atira. What do you think the mitigation action taken by Kelantan state government?
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. So before I start, I would like to thank everyone for inviting me to join all of you today. I'm really excited to share my opinion about this topic. To begin with, extreme flooding incidents that have a negative impacts on the impacted settlements continue to serve as a reminder of the critical need for efficient protection strategies. So, to create a clear theoretical and practical framework on flood resilience, it is necessary for us to address the concept of vulnerability in flood-prone locations. Although the flood impact assessment techniques have been used for a while, the existing urban environment is changing so quickly, so that is necessary to adapt and develop vulnerability assessment theory, methodologies, and also the applications. So, in this topic, I would like to use the terms of flood resilience to describe the community's mitigation to minimize the severity of flood's impact on our community. This is related to the infrastructure of a community or a person that is impacted by the flooding. This is one of the most important actions that the community can do to get ready for the floods. The mitigation and adaptation such the important components during the flood. Not every member of the community get a heads up before a flood. Yearly flood warning is necessary because it enables the community to get ready before the flood occurs. That makes the community has time to get ready if they receive early warning system. But even though the neighborhood has an early warning system, not everyone in the community gets alert earlier, right? The group that I really believe to have missed the early warning is the elderly people. In fact, It is due to the use of technology is more difficult for older adults than for the young. To add, young people use technology more quickly and with a better understanding in the technology rather than the old. So it is hard for the older to receive the up-to-date information if they are left alone at home without the companion of their daughters. So due to that problem, my opinion is the government must upgrade the level of technology for the existing early warning system to ensure that all people receive early warning and the community safety. The importance of early system warning is significant because it allows the community for us to prepare for more extreme events and allows them to plan for the best. In fact, the 2014 flood served as a prime example of the limitation of early warning and forecasting system, which is failed to help the community members. Last but not least from me, the government agencies and non-government organizations (NGOs) were involved in the disaster not only after the flood but also during the flood. The government is responsible for containing the flood. However, cooperation and participation from all the parties are very required. This will increase the trust between the community and the other agencies. So I think that's all from me for our topic today. Again, thank you for giving your time and attention for my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Nur Atira. Now we know that flooding in Kelantan is a serious matter, but we have many ways on how to prevent the same things from happening again. So we have come to the end of our forum where we share a lot of knowledge. I would like to thank again to all the panels for joining us on today's discussion. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.